pictures coming in fact, the dinner, the Prime Minister being greeted by Vladimir Putin. The dinner has already taken place, but these are pictures coming in from just before the start of that dinner, a private dinner that the Prime Minister will be having with President Putin, and we can see those pictures coming in there live. All right, these are the pictures from Moscow where the Prime Minister is being greeted. He, of course, described Vladimir Putin as his friend in his departure statement that came in earlier. Of course, a lot of business also that is expected to be interacted, and a very, very significant visit indeed. While we stay with these pictures, let me quickly take that question across to Faizan. Faizan, significant visit, important items on the agenda. Is there really a need to drag in domestic politics? No doubt that Manipur is a big issue. We've been debating that as well. But should we really be connecting Moscow visit with Manipur?
Madhav, it is very important to connect everything that the Prime Minister is doing. He has to be answerable. It is not only the people of India or the opposition. It is also the international community which had questioned Narendra Modi. If you see, the European Parliament had adopted a resolution asking Narendra Modi and his government to speed up the process of containing the violence that is happening in Manipur. So Narendra Modi, like under Narendra Modi, this has brought disgrace to the nation that a foreign entity is asking our own Prime Minister, our own government, that you are not doing enough for your own people. So Narendra Modi has to be questioned. He's going around everywhere. Can't he spare a day just to go to Manipur? It is very important. He's the Prime Minister of India. As far as the Russia visit is concerned, Madhav, this could have serious ramifications on the relationship of India with the Western world and with the people who are anti-Russia. If you see the kind of trade we are doing with Russia, it is Russia which is benefiting most, not us. India imports with Russia have been 60 billion in a year, whereas Russia is buying only 5 billion from us. In 22-23, the trade was 49.63 billion. India exports 3.14 billion and imports 46.21 billion.
Okay.
So it is actually Russia which is benefiting, and we are putting a lot at stake by having this closeness to Russia. There can be serious problems.
So what are you advocating?
There could be sanctions.
So what are you advocating?
I'm just saying, Madhav, that right now what was more important for Narendra Modi was to visit Manipur. You have to make sure that the country...
Well, I'm glad you've not said we should snap ties with Russia, but let me bring in Sushant Sareen on that note. Sushant Sareen, rather interesting food for thought. But yes, this is something that even the Congress has maintained, that there's a huge trade imbalance, that, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh met Medvedev 17 times in 10 years. The Modi-Putin visits have only been 10 times. Is there a cooling off of relations? Indians are fighting in the Russian army, so there are no jobs here in India. Several such questions coming in from the Congress.
Yes, Madhav, the Indians were fighting, or at least were part of the support staff for the American armies in various war theaters. What happened to that? That also was taking place, right? Was it because there were no jobs during the Congress time? Now, during the Congress time between 2004 and 2014, you did not have COVID, so you did not have 3 years where you could not meet. Number one. Number two, at that point of time, the 2014 Crimea invasion had not taken place. So Russia was still not ostracized. It was still very much a part of the international system, or at least the Western dictated system, which our young leader Faizan seems to be so enamored of. So as a result, they had many more meetings because India was also invited, Mr. Putin was also there. But let's come down to the trade aspects of it. It's really a dumbing down of the kind of deficits that people are talking about. Why has the trade gone up from around $8-10 billion? Much of it was also still loaded in Russia's favor because it was mostly weapons imports that India was doing from Russia and some other stuff. There was very little oil coming from Russia. We have now ramped up our oil purchases from Russia. But what are we doing with that oil? Number one, that oil is being reprocessed and exported. So I would strongly counsel to Faizan that he should also check the trade data of India of what are the oil exports from India. Because a lot of the oil which is now going into European markets is Russian oil processed in India and being sold in European markets, which is India's export. So if you start taking it in balance, the trade deficit is not as much as what it's made out to be in overall terms. Number one. Number two, please also remember that earlier we were buying a lot of our oil from some of the Arab countries and other countries in the Middle East. Because we are getting a better deal from the Russians, we have switched our supplies to Russian oil. I don't see why we should not do it. And number three, as far as the sanctions business is concerned, look, are we going to say that, okay, fine, because now the Americans or the West is now going to start imposing sanctions, we cannot deal with anybody else. Is that the way we are going to run our foreign policy? I don't think so. I think we have taken a middle path. Russia is a valued partner, ally. We are keeping our relationship with the Russians going, and so is the West. It's a valued ally. But the West has this habit of hectoring, of sermonizing, of pontificating, which as an Indian from an independent country, I find very galling. Because otherwise, I would strongly counsel to Faizan, because his party has a number of MPs in parliament now, they should pass resolutions in the Indian parliament on how, for example, Muslims are treated in China. They should pass resolutions in the Indian parliament of racism in the US, police brutality in the US, of all kinds of problems in Europe. Why don't they do it? And just because some other parliament does it, are you going to start feeling shy and feel embarrassed because some white person has decided that he's going to sermonize to you? I mean, come on, guys, grow up. I have absolutely no problem with Faizan raising questions as an Indian citizen from his Prime Minister. Right or wrong, that's his right. He must do it, even if those questions do not really add up. But to say that the West is raising questions about India, who the hell is the West? Why do we care about what the West says? We can raise as many questions. If I want to be a drain inspector, as far as America and as Europe and other countries are concerned, I can do it as well. I don't want to comment on their internal affairs, even if I find it objectionable, and I find many of their policies objectionable. I don't see why they should do it, and if they do it, I don't see why people like Faizan should have such an inferiority complex. कि गोरे ने बोल दिया, इसलिए अब हम बड़े ढीले पड़ गए. Don't do this, man.
Faizan,
you raise the question.
okay,
you raise the question.
Fair question. Let Faizan respond to that, because Faizan, at the end of the day, why are we waiting for certificates from the West? You know, at the end of the day, India is a country which takes its own independent foreign policy decisions, and we've shown that in the case of what's happened post Russia and Ukraine's war, where we've taken a different line from the entire Western world, and it's not like that has, you know, deeply impacted our relations either.
Madhav, it is not about, like the way Mr. Sareen was pointing out, that you're suffering from some inferiority complex, Gore ne bol diya. It is not about Gora or kisne bol diya. It's about, unfortunately, this is the reality, and we are pained as the citizens of this country that in a certain part of our country, which is burning, and the Prime Minister is not doing enough. He's not speaking. BJP was trying to hide this issue. It was after that video surfaced. After that video surfaced, after a month of Manipur burning, it was after that the opposition raised its voice. Still the Prime Minister didn't speak. It was when the opposition passed the no confidence motion and we made sure that the Prime Minister comes to the Parliament. It was at that time the Prime Minister eventually opened his mouth.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.